Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. So you're probably seeing a different background right now. This is the main section of the basement, basically. Down over by that side is the stairs coming down. You come down, and this is going to be basically a pool table area. We're going to have a soccer game area as well, and we're going to have a movie theater area. This, where I'm at right now, is going to be the bar area. So that's in the works. And then to my left here is where the studio is normally at. You guys can see it right now, but the studio right now is being painted. So that's why I have to move stuff out. Okay, but thank you all for coming in on Sunday. It's obviously a crap show, I guess you could say, in the markets right now. Everybody's panicking because of what Trump said to Iran, giving them basically 48 hours to agree to his terms, or he's going to start bombing their electrical infrastructure. IREN countered that. They said that they are gonna, if we do that, they're gonna go after the oil fields and the oil production areas or oil export areas. So everything's panicking. What is it? Crude. Crude is above $100. Gold and silver are tanking. Markets are tanking right now in the pre-hours, overnight hours. Everybody's panicking. Everybody's like going into their Schwab and E-Trade accounts and selling everything that they can right now. I did sell on Friday. So, right, the video is titled, I sold out, and what did I sell and why? We'll get into that eventually, I think, in this discussion here. We'll get into it, by what I sold and why I sold it. But we'll just take a look at what's going on in the markets right now. Then we'll also take a look at what's going on with the latest short data that we have on the miners here, okay? So that's coming up here. And after that, we'll get into Q&A here. So what you guys have to say on any of this stuff here. And I have a question right now for you guys. If you guys want me to go over the Bitcoin price, miners prices on these live streams, or if I should not do that, right? Am I wasting your guys' time? I know everybody's time is precious here. So I did get a bunch of, I wouldn't say a bunch of, I was in a good conversation with one of the Patreon members on Friday. They gave me some good tidbits as far as things that we can improve in the stream here, right? Talk about more about my opinions on some of the stuff here, which I agree. I probably don't do enough of that. And then maybe lower down the kind of stock prices on these things, maybe just kind of go high level, not get into detail on it, just, I guess, not spend too much time on it. Okay, but we'll get into all that and more. But first, we got to go through this. As you guys know, full disclosure below that. As always, greatly appreciate you guys coming in on a Sunday night. And I am, to be honest with you guys, I'm exhausted. I've been busting my butt here over the last couple of days here trying to get the basement as close to being done as possible, but it's still going to take me a lot of time. But I've been putting in a lot of hours, so I've been working like 12, 14-hour days here in the basement to get this thing done and over with, so I can actually concentrate on what's really important, is providing you guys good value here. All right, but here's what we got. Crude is above $100 right now. It's back up there. It's been kind of bouncing between $100 and, like, on the low end side of things, like $94, $95 or so over the last couple of days. The latest stint with Trump and Iran there is not helping things out right now as it is. You can see here gold. Gold is down to $4,300 as it is. So way off from its peak at $5,600 roughly. Silver, same thing. Silver is taking a beating as well, which kind of surprising. And then yet we have the U.S. 10-year Treasury note is up 0.52. This is probably the highest it's been here for a while, since going back to August of last year. Actually, and then also the U.S. 30-year Treasury notes are also to a high back in September of last year as well. So all of this stuff is happening here. We got markets being in the red right now in the pre-hours as it is. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting day. Nonetheless, I think we might, sorry, my throat's starting to get dry here. Tomorrow's going to be definitely very, very turbulent in the markets. We are definitely going to start out in the red here. We'll see where Iran comes in with, do they agree to the terms by President Trump there, or do they not? And if not, I'm guessing Trump's going to go all in on, bombing their electrical infrastructure, which obviously is going to probably send the markets even down lower. So we'll talk about that. Kind of covered it right now as it is. It's going to be not great for us. The reason I sold here on Friday a little bit, as I've talked before, is property taxes are coming up. I got to pay Uncle Sam as well, right? State and federal taxes coming up here in April 15th. So I needed to sell some things here to pay for some of those taxes I needed to pay, which amounted to about $15,000 plus property taxes, another $6,000. So I needed about $21,000 to pay for it. Didn't have it in cash because I've plowed in about 25,000 from cash that I've had into the basement finishing out here. And as you guys know, over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been putting everything into the markets here, not selling anything, excuse me, other than to buy other stocks within the region or within the group there and add on my allocation at that point. But I've never taken any profits on any of this stuff here to take out cash over the last 5 years. So I'm still up overall around 300% on my portfolio. So I viewed it as one of those things where I needed to kind of do this. I didn't want to. I needed to. I was hoping that things would definitely be different from where they are right now, but they're not. So we are where we are. Like I said, I got to pay taxes, things like that. I also have my son's communion coming up here. That was another reason why I wanted to sell, because that's going to cost me about $8,000 to $10,000 for the party there. I'm sure we'll probably recoup it, but still had to basically pay it up front. And then we're also going on vacation to the Dominican Republic in June, which I already paid for those tickets. So I needed to get some money back as well so I can pay that off. And then I have huge, interest rates on my credit cards. So that's the main reason why. So what did I sell? Well, I sold actually Bitfarms. I didn't sell everything. I sold about 90% of what I had in Bitfarms. And the reason I chose Bitfarms is because, well, let's take a look at the chart here for Bitfarms here really quick. Bitfarms obviously has done very, very well. In the past, I would say probably about 4 or 5 months ago, it did very, very well. Got to $6.60. Should I have sold at that point? Yeah, hindsight is always 20/20, but I never wanted to sell these things, at least not within the next year. Things turned out the way they did, and you got to adjust at that point. So with them being at $2 and something, $2.17 right now as it is, I did sell about $20,000 worth of shares there. I didn't have that much in them to begin with. And the reason I decided to sell them is, one, their current growth here in Washington is going to be only about 18 to 30 megawatts potentially for them, which obviously is not going to bring in a lot of revenue for them. The big growth for them will be in Pennsylvania's site, which is going to be probably into 2027, into 2028 at that point, which I think I can still buy back into the stock here later on once I, pay off some things here. Pay the taxes, pay off some credit card debt as well. And then at that point, I'll be able to then again start dollar cost averaging into this stock going forward here. So that's the main reasons why there. I think their growth is going to be more into next year than it is this year. So sold Bitfarms. I am looking to sell some Cipher shares as well. I'm not going to sell everything there. I'm going to sell a portion of it also to help fund whatever I need to fund here. But that will be happening probably next week sometime, I'm guessing. We'll see how the markets does. We'll also see if there's any good news stories for them or anything like that, which I don't know if there will be. But right now we're just going to see where things go for the next week and sell a portion throughout the week as time progresses. And I'll definitely let you guys know in the Patreon group there when that does happen there. The other ones that I'm leaving is Cleanspark and IREN. IREN, obviously, you all know why. IREN's going to be a behemoth here in the next, I think, year to 2 years. So there's absolutely no sense in selling that one right now as it is. Cleanspark, I think Cleanspark has been left behind a little bit. And I think that's only because of their own doing. They were late to the AI, which I think they can still perform well in that if they get a deal for their Georgia site in, where's it, Dalton, Georgia, I believe it is, which is really close to Atlanta at that point. That might be a good deal for them. Excuse me. Hold on, I gotta sip on my water because my throat's drying out. All right, that's better. But I think Cleanspark still has a chance to run up here for us in the next, I would say, 6 to 9 months if they get a deal. So that's the reason why I held out to Cleanspark there. Cipher, the reason I'm selling Cipher also is because they've already gotten a couple of deals here. I mean, unless they get more deals, the stock is going to be probably where it's at right now or hold there for a little bit. And then if anything, they will go up eventually a little bit as well. But I think because Cleanspark hasn't gotten a deal, I think Cleanspark can be re-rated basically in the next, I would say 6, 9, 12 months or something like that can be rated. So I wanted to hold on to what I have there. I'm still in profit in that one. I'm obviously in nice profit in Cipher as well. And then IREN, like I said, I'm not selling IREN at all. I'm going to hold on to that thing. And if anything, I may, dollar cost average into it in the next couple of weeks once I'm done paying off all this stuff I got to pay off. But that's basically it. It's not that I wanted to sell or anything like that. It's just I needed to sell. If it wasn't for Uncle Sam wanting to take a nice big chunk of what I sold last year to buy into Cypher at that point, and also some more Cleanspark and Bitfarms shares and things like that, I would have not needed to probably sell anything. But if you're making money, you got to obviously pay Uncle Sam at that point. So it's one of those evil things that you have to do, unfortunately. But it is what it is. We'll get through this part, and then we'll, accumulate some more shares as time progresses going forward here. And then the goal here is actually to hold on to IREN and the others as well for at least another probably 1 year to 2 years. At that point, I think they will be priced much, much better because we are still seeing a lot of demand for AI, compute, and data centers and all that stuff. So I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. So it's just one of those things where I got to do what I got to do. Okay. Not that I don't have any faith in these companies or anything like that. It's not the case. It's just, like I said, for Bitfarms, it's just a little longer out, I think. Could be wrong on it, but we'll see. All right, so there's that. Miners, Friday we didn't do a stream here. Miners were definitely down in the red here. You can see that on Friday. Friday was not a great day. Bitcoin was down. Things were all down. We've had a number of selling happening at that point as well. Everything was kind of down across the board here on Friday. You can see here on the charts and the tables down here. And that is a reason because of what's going on with Iran. All right. Now, as far as my take on it, the sooner this stuff gets done and over with, the better it will be. I also think that right now, Trump and the administration right now is in the midst of trying to clean things up as best they can before the midterms get too close. Eventually, things will get better. Right now, we are definitely in a very tumultuous time where the markets are reacting much, much more hastily than they would otherwise because of what's going on. Oil prices are spiking, everything else is happening. Gold and silver are coming down, but it's just a lot of unknown, and the market does not like unknowns. Once that gets cleared up, which I think it will, I'm not going to say it's going to be the next day or two, which would be great. I would love to see that. But I think it's going to be more in line with the next couple weeks to maybe a month or so at tops. I don't think the Trump administration wants this to prolong any further than they need to. Their ideal goal would be to obviously get rid of the regime there, change the regime, change it out completely as best they can. But the big thing for them is obviously the nuclear threat, which they do not want them to possess it. That if they can, what's the word I'm looking for here? If they can basically kneecap them for a number of years where they can't get that up and running or whatever reason, right? I think that will be a win for them. So if they can do that, that will be a win. If they can also get the regime change, that would be a win. So there's multiple ways that they can get a win. But in the meantime, it's just we're escalating this. They're escalating it as well. And it's just, where does it actually end up at? That's the unknown. And the markets don't like unknowns. And that's what we're seeing here happening right now as it is. Being that what it is, if you do have cash or anything like that on the sidelines, we know that these things do eventually end. When they do end, we don't know, but when they do eventually end, it might be a good time to kind of dollar cost average in if you can. Not financial advice. Okay. So there's that. Basically, the market in a nutshell overall, what's going on here. And my thoughts on it as well. Like I said, once I'm done paying off the debt that I do have because of this basement, I will be buying back in. It's, I love the markets. I love what's going on here with the miners. I'm definitely going to be in it for a long haul here for the next probably 1 year to 2 years, if not 3 years or longer. We'll see how they do, but this is definitely a space to get into. We'll also take a look into getting into maybe like SpaceX when it IPOs. Maybe I'll put in 10,000 into that or something like that. We'll see. We'll definitely keep an eye on that one for sure because that's going to be very, very exciting there going forward. And I think Elon Musk and Tesla and SpaceX had a investor presentation here tonight. I got to watch that. Still haven't watched it yet. Been too busy doing the basement part of it. All right, but that's enough of me rambling on here. Let's get into what we actually wanted to see here, which is what's going on with them. Well, we talked about the market, but other news stories, and then look at the short data and also how the miners did against the Bitcoin last week. And we'll get into Q&A here. So let's get into that part of it, and we'll call it a day here. As always, Bitcoin right now for the month of March is only up 1.55%. We are hanging on by a thread here of being green in March for with Bitcoin. Tomorrow, I think we're going to be probably in the red. We were up as high as like 14% in the green here within the last probably week and a half. and we've definitely come back down here on it as it is right now. Which would kind of be in line with what the historical performance has been of Bitcoin over the past, what is the number, 13 years for March. For the most part, it's usually in the red here. So we'll see if we can actually, erase that and get a green day here. But the Bitcoin ETF inflows, outflows, we can see that we have had 3 days of outflows right now as it is. We've had 6 days of inflows, and the contention happening with Iran there is not helping things out. This is kind of interesting here. This is from the Kubesi letter. Is the markets setting up for a rally? This would be a great way to go if it does happen this way. But the S&P 500 is down 5% since the Iran war started. Now 15 trading days in the sell-off. In previous geopolitical conflicts, U.S. stocks bottomed around the day 15 on average, based on over 30 major geopolitical shocks since 1939. If this plays out that way, then we are getting close to possibly an end of this. That would be fantastic. I would love to see that. I'm sure you guys would all too. The current sell-off is tracking almost exactly in line with the historical average and median path. After the typical bottom, the average recovery lasted for 40 plus trading days. So 15 days of pain and 40 days, I'll take that. From there, stocks tend to move higher after reaching their pre-event levels. Is the usual geopolitical playbook set to repeat? Time will only tell, right? We don't know. If this escalates even more, it could get worse for us before it gets better. But here they are saying the average right around there is around 15, 18 days or so. We're getting really, really close to that with the Iran war. The median as well kind of bottoms out right around there. So give or take another week or so, and we might be at the bottom of this. This would be great freaking news, because I'm really tired of this right now as it is. I'm sure as many of you are as well. All right, this next one, we got this from Anthony. Anthony says, I'm starting to think the White House doesn't care what happens to the stock market in the first half of the year, because they know they have tools to pump stock higher in midterm elections in November. Not a comment on whether it is a good strategy, just an observation. And yeah, I agree with that observation. It just seems like they don't really give a, Rets Ratui. What's going to happen there in the markets right now. It might be part of their plan too. This is putting my little tinfoil hat on right now. We've seen this last year as well. Markets were going down through April because of Trump tariffs, right? Everything was just going down, down, down. And then eventually Trump said, this would be a good time to buy. And everything went off the rail. Well, it didn't go off the rails. We're back on the rails and started going back up higher. And we got to new all-time highs within, a couple of weeks. This could be another thing like this where maybe tinfoil hat time, the government there, I wouldn't say the government, but the administration there is going to use this to their advantage to buy into some things that they wanted to buy into before things got too hot. Possibility there? Yes. Is it the case? I'm not sure. All right, next here from Simon Dixon here. Trump will have to taco out. So Trump always chickens out, basically. The 10-year note yield is now up 45 basis points since the war began on February 28th. With the 10-year note yield now up to 4.4%, the U.S. economy cannot handle a 5% 10-year note yield. He has no choice but to crash oil and bond yields by announcing a deal, right? Whether it's going to be a deal that he absolutely loves or is one of those things where he kind of compromises on it, we don't know. We'll find out in due course as well on that one. But right now we're at that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for there? You're heading down the road and you're playing chicken with somebody else, right? So the United States against Iran right now playing chicken. It's basically who flinches first. And at that point, we'll figure out where things are in the markets, in the world, geopolitically, tension-wise, all that stuff will get figured out. Next here, we have from Walter here, NATO vows to reopen Hormuz. This would be obviously a great thing if they did help out the United States and Israel as well to maintain that route open. This would be good because it then allows the traffic for oil tankers to go through. We'll see when do they actually do this or if they do this or not, but this would be a good thing to lower the prices of gas there as well. But NATO chief Mark Rutte said he is absolutely convinced the alliance will reopen the Strait of Hormuz. He noted allies are coordinating their response after weeks of planning, stressing the importance of acting together with the U.S. Rutte also called the U.S. operation crucial, citing Iran as an existential threat. Right? Everybody knows that they're an existential threat in the region there. They've been kind of the bully for the past however many years, decades, and things like that. So if they can actually get their act together and help out the United States, which obviously they have helped out the United States in the past, they were, Article 5 was triggered by the United States during 9/11. After that happened, all of the allies there in NATO helped out tremendously. Their fellow countrymen lost lives helping the United States, so I'm always going to be grateful for that. I'm sure they're grateful for our help with World War II. But we need to have that great communication happening between those countries, I think. That's just my opinion there. The United States is stronger with NATO allies, I believe, and we are weaker without them. So if we can get this to work out, I know that Trump's comments and things like that have not been the most positive of NATO, but they've also did it on themselves, right? So I'm not going to get into a political thing of this, but NATO has basically relied on the United States for too long. They need to pick up their own shoes a little bit and help out there in many regards, which they are right now, which I think is great. All right, next here we have, I thought this was funny. You may not think that's funny, but I thought this was funny. Fear and greed index, now tired of winning, is at 0. You got the silhouette of Trump here on that one. And I can relate to this. I am tired of winning if this is the way we're going to be winning here, at least the short term. Long term, I think we'll be fine. But in the short term, this is definitely the way it kind of feels right now. I'm kind of tired of winning right now as it is. And then lastly here, before we get into some Bitfarms news and Nebius news as well, let's see, oil prices, this is from the Kubesi letter as well. Oil prices are no longer the biggest threat to markets. It is becoming increasingly clear that bond markets will dictate just how long President Trump can continue to increase pressure on the Iran war there. We talked about that a little bit here as well, right? In the 10-year notes being 45 basis points. This is in line with rapid surge seen around Liberation Day in April 2025. We saw the same thing happening with the notes at that point. As the 10-year note yield surged above 4.5% in April 2025, President Trump began floating a potential tariff pause, right? We've seen that before. So he might, if the notes go up too high, he will possibly have to kind of back down a little bit or figure out a way to, I wouldn't say save face. I think it's just a way to protrude or portray a winning side of things here, right? Let's see. And once the 10-year yield broke above 4.6, President Trump officially implemented a 90-day pause on his reciprocal tariffs on April 9th. That's why I'm saying it's kind of similar to what we saw last year as well. With the 10-year note yield now up to 4.4, we believe that 4.5 to 4.6 range will be the line in the sand again. Time will only tell on that one. The U.S. economy cannot handle a 5% 10-year note yield, which I also believe that as well. So we might be getting very, very close here. Time will only tell. All right, so that's the news part of things. We'll see how tomorrow actually plays out. I'm not banking on anything major to happen tomorrow other than market's probably going to be crashing in the morning. And then we may get a bounce off of that from the bottom there a little bit before we kind of settle in the red still. All right, next we got some good news from Bitfarms shareholders. So they approved the U.S. redomiciliation. That's a strange word there. But they are definitely going to begin there. So after the special meeting, approximately 93% of votes cast were in favor of the arrangement. I wonder who voted against it. It doesn't make any sense not to vote for this. This was a good thing. That will obviously help them get more institutional investments, other things. So this is a good thing. It's like, why would it's 99.3%. So I don't know who the 0.7% was, but yeah, that's definitely not great there. But great overall, but the 0.7%, I'm not sure who that was. To be effective, the arrangement required the affirmative vote of at least 66 and 2/3 of the votes cast by holders of common shareholders of Bitfarms present in person or represented by a proxy vote. So that went through. That's fantastic there. And they're obviously going to be changing their name to Keel as well. It's expected to be completed on April 1st, so April Fool's Day. At least we know that's going to be April Fool's joke there on us. Subject to obtaining court approvals as well as the satisfaction of other conditions precedent. The Toronto Stock Exchange has conditionally approved the arrangement and listing of shares, common stock of Keel Infrastructure. Right, they're changing their name, so that's good there as well. So they are working towards that going forward here into this year. Which in the past we heard actually Ben state that they may not do a U.S. redomiciliation because it would take them like a year plus to redo all their books or something like that. It would cost them millions of dollars. But I think they finally saw the light there a little bit, and they're going through this. So this is really, really good for Bitfarms here, I believe. This will definitely help them out. All right, and lastly, we have Nebius here. Nebius announces closing of private offering of convertible senior notes with aggregate gross proceeds of approximately $4.3 billion there. So that was oversubscribed, and they also took on the additional amount they were offering to the investors there. Basically, right at the top where they wanted to get to This is great news for Nebius as well. This will definitely help them pay for a lot of the infrastructure they're building out, for the deals that they have, everything else. This is great news for them. It does push out, obviously, possible dilution into 2031 and 2033, I believe, based on this. But this is great. It's a better way to do it, especially if you can, increase your data centers, increase your watts, increase your GPU count, all that stuff, and everything else will definitely help out going forward. They'll be generating a heck of a lot more revenue, and possibly eventually with the revenue that they are getting, they can then go and pay this off without possible some dilution. Or if things don't work out, they can always kick the can down the road and do another convertible note and do this stuff, but we'll see. All right, so there's that. And then lastly here, we're going to take a look at the shorted data that we do have here. So you guys will see a difference in the chart here. Last time there were much smaller charts here, but we've added on, obviously, Applied Digital and Nebius to this as well. So we're having more and more companies in here. It was very, very hard to have it on a small chart or half this chart and still show up all the names properly without having like blanks in there. So I'm like, okay, I'll redo this and make it easier for not only when I talk about it here on stream, but also for you guys to see it when you guys do have access to it for the Patreon members. And one of the things that I probably should do more is try to sell this because this does definitely help out with everything that I do. It saves you guys time as well. I spend countless number of hours during the week trying to get all the data in for these things, and then you guys have, I think the lowest tier for Patreon is like $4 a month, probably less than a cup of coffee, and you get access to all the data that I hold on this stuff. But that's one thing I'm going to try to do better, is do a better job selling the things that I do offer you guys. I'm not the best salesperson there. I'm an introvert. Surprisingly enough, I'm doing this on streams here, but it's just me by myself talking to a camera, and then all of you guys are out there as watching it. So again, I greatly appreciate all your guys out there, and ladies as well. All right, here's what we got. So the latest data is as of the end of February. February 27th, I believe it is, or February 27th is the latest data that we do have here. We'll probably have new data coming out here. It's going to be for March 15th, but that'll be out probably in like a week or so. So this is the latest data that we do have here. So now we have everybody included in here. You can see the current number of shares shorted here. Marathon, highest number of shares shorted, 114 million. TeraWolf next, 93. Cleanspark, 84 million. Applied Digital, 79. Bitfarms, 65. Cypher, 64. CORZ, 63. And then you can see everybody else down the list there. As far as percentage of average floated shares shorted, BitDeer has now come up to be the number one shorted here. We've seen a huge increase in them, the amount of shares shorted in the last probably, I would say, 2 weeks to a month roughly, because they put out those data points every 2 weeks. And the last one I missed, so we're kind of catching up here a little bit. But I kind of understand that because we've seen what happened to the stock of BitDeer in the last probably 2 weeks or so, right? When they came out with their quarterly results, and then the notes that came out after that. It's just the stock definitely took a big, huge dip at that point. And when that happened, we saw a huge spike in the number of shares shorted there. So yeah, investors are betting against them right now more so than ever on that one. All right, but you can see your BitDeer is 37%, TeraWolf 34%, along with Cleanspark, and then Applied Digital Marathon at 30%, and then Nebius is at 21%. We almost have like these tiers here. We got like tier 1, tier 2, and then like tier 3 here of shares shorted on these guys. You can see all the rest of those. And the number of shares shorted changed from last time. Again, you can see here BitDeer, huge increase in the shares shorted there, 17.5 million on that one. Nebius up a little bit there, 4.3 second an increase. Then we had Core, Marathon, IREN, Bitfarms, Hive, Cypher, Hut 8, Kango just barely. And then we actually had some shares that were going down on these guys. Cleanspark was down 500,000 shares. Riot, 500,000 shares. Applied Digital, 1.3, and TeraWolf down almost 2 million shares there. Okay, percent change of shares shorted from last time. BitDeer up huge, 63% increase in the number of shares shorted there with them. We had Nebius also up 10.87%. We'll probably see that go up a little bit too with the current convertible notes that they're offering. Usually when that happens, we'll see that happening in the shares shorted as well. That will usually increase as the convertible note holders will, they'll hedge their bets, so they'll go long in the stock and short the stock at the same time, right? They're going to hedge their bets on it. IREN was also up 6.01%, CORZ was up 6.47%, and then price on these guys here in the last 12 weeks. We can see that the only one that's been up is TeraWolf. TeraWolf is up 18.5% over the last 12 weeks. Kango got obliterated here, down 70% here on that one. And you got BitDeer, Hive, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Marathon, Cypher applied. Everybody else was, down at least a certain percentage. And then percentage 12 weeks short change. Cypher, then percentage of short change over the last 12 weeks. So basically the last, going back like 3 months. Cypher's had a huge increase there, 38%, Core 21, Marathon 16, Hut 8, 15, IREN up 6, Applied Digital up only 3. Cleanspark's actually down on the number of shares being shorted there, down 31%. BitDeer, Bitfarms, Riot, and Nebius. I do have Nebius here and Applied Digital as well. So all of those are there. If we look at the individual companies, how have they been shorted over the last, what's it been, 5 months or so? Going back to 9/15. BitDeer, you can see a huge increase there, 45 million there from 27 million. That's a huge increase for them. Last time that's reported there. Bitfarms has been actually coming down, which is kind of good there for them. Even though the stock hasn't done that great. Kango kind of flat around 4 million overall over the last several months. Cypher up and down, roller coaster ride on that one. Nothing has changed there. Cleanspark kind of flat around the 80-some thousand million shares. Core, same thing, 60-some million shares overall. Going back there, Hive has been increasing. It's double from where it was just in September of last year. Hut 8, flat overall, 14, 15 million, 16 shares or so. IREN peaked at 59. It's been down a little bit. We'll see if the stock can actually do great going forward there, which I think it will. And Mara has been also kind of between 107 to like 94, 114. I think this is, well, it's almost the second most highest number of shares shorted there, 114, which is kind of surprising, but I think that will change now that they are getting to AI as well. I would expect this to actually come down here in the coming weeks and months, but we'll see. And then Riot has been coming down also, right, as they got into AI. That's coming down for them. And then TeraWolf, it's kind of been up and down all over the place here, but it's been coming down overall. And then Nebius has been increasing. Nebius has, they're getting more and more deals. They're doing more convertible notes. We're seeing an increase in that arbitrage, not arbitrage, but basically hedging their bets for the note holders there. And then lastly, here we got Applied Digital. It's been going up here, but it's been coming down as well. We'll see. They've obviously gotten also deals going forward. That kind of helps them out also. All right, so there's that. There's all the data that I hold available to all the Patreon members there. And then lastly, we're going to take a look at the weekly here. How have the miners done in the last 52 weeks? How high have they gone up? How far away are they from the 52-week highs? And then also, how well did they perform against Bitcoin this past week? We'll get into that here, but I got to take a sip of water because my throat's starting to get dry. All right, let's get into it here. So IREN's still doing very well. It's up 705% overall from its 52-week lows, which were actually reached in April of last year. We're not too far away from it right now. We're basically, about 3 weeks away from that in a yearly time frame, right when it happened. So maybe we bottom out on these guys again in April here. We'll see. Time will tell. And then Applied Digital, I was actually surprised by this when I put this in because Applied Digital we added last week into our companies that we track here. But I was surprised that they have done this great compared to the other miners here, which obviously not surprising because they've gotten nice deals as well with, I'm drawing a blank on it right now. What was the deal that they got there? With CoreWeave was one of the customers there that they're getting deals with. And they're building out like crazy as well. So I'm not surprised. I think that's the reason why the stock did pretty well here over the last 52 weeks. Then we got Cypher. Cypher, we know why. 653% up. TeraWolf also 633. Nebius 542, right? What do all these guys have in common here? They have all gotten substantial deals with customers, or in case of IREN, Microsoft deal. Plus, they're building out their own GPU cloud with 150,000 GPUs. That's the reason why that one's, I think, still performing the best here. Nebius obviously done great here. Hut 8 has a meta deal. That one's up 372%. Bitfarms. Bitfarms was definitely a surprise here. It has done very, very well, even though I think the reason it's done so well is because it bought out Stronghold, gotten into AI. It's positioning themselves into a tier 3 data center builder in Pennsylvania and Washington. That's the main reason why I think that it's done very well there. Core, I was a little surprised that it's only up 155%. Majority of the contracts are with CoreWeave. They, as we know, they were in basically a battle. I wouldn't say a battle, but CoreWeave was looking to buy them out last year. That fell through. Shareholders basically said, no, that you're not doing that because we think you're worth more than that. As a result of that, they were on the sidelines with having conversations with customers or potential customers for data centers and things like that. That's the reason why it's at where it's at. Riot, obviously, up 160%, still really good, all things considered. They messed up on the Bitfarms takeover bet. They lost money on that, actually. So they're actually doing much better than I thought they would be. But they are also pivoting to AI. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, that's all they got going on right now. They got a small deal with AMD right now as it is. Maybe that can get improved there, but they do have nice sites. They have a lot of megawatts they could transition over into AI if they wanted to for that. Hive being up 60.3%, and then Cleanspark 45. This one was definitely a surprise for me there. It's that low, but they were late to the AI party, so that doesn't really surprise me that too much, I guess you could say. Strategy is at least doing now better than Bitcoin. It was in the past actually lagging Bitcoin. Marathon up 27%, Bitdeer up 18%, and Bitcoin's up 17.4%. So all of these guys in the last 52 weeks have outperformed Bitcoin to a certain extent, if not tremendously, like in the case of IREN, Applied Digital, Cypher, TeraWulf, and Nebius, right? Even Hut 8 there have tremendously outperformed what Bitcoin has done here in the last year for us. So if you got into any of these things in the last year or something like that at the bottom of April, you are doing really, really well here. I know a lot of us got into it back in like 2022, 2023, 2024, when the prices on a lot of these guys were a lot higher. Had you were able to buy into them at lower prices or dollar cost average into them, you're still probably doing pretty well here, right? With IREN, I'm not up 705%. I'm still up close to 400% on that one. So that one is definitely doing well for me. And that's the one that's really helped with my overall portfolio be up like over 300% from when I got into it all and started buying these things up. The other ones still helped out. Bitfarms was up over 60% when I sold it. Cypher, I'm still up over 100%. Cleanspark's still up over like 80% for me right now as it is. They were obviously much higher in the last, well, go back to like September and October, they were much, much higher. But we've seen that before with these guys. They go up like crazy, they come back down, they go up like crazy. And with them all pivoting over into AI, I think there's still a lot of green here to be made with these guys here going forward here. So I'm going to be buying into them as time progresses. All right, let's see. Weekly performance here. 1, 4, and 8 weeks here. We can see last week we had, let's see, where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin was down basically 1%. I track it Friday to Friday as always. You guys know that. Bitdeer actually had a nice bounce last week because it was beaten down tremendously in the last 2 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks, I would say. And then Strategy was even up 5%. TeraWulf up 3%. Cypher basically flat there. Down a little bit less than 0%, or a little bit less than probably 0.5%. IREN was also down 1%, and then we had Hut 8 being down 2, Nebius down 2, we had Bitfarms down 3, Cleanspark along with Core and Apply being down about 4, Riot and Hive being down 5, Marathon being down 9, and Kango really took a beating after they reported their quarterly results as well. That stock was down a lot, right? 35% down in a week. I would say this was not unexpected. We knew with Bitcoin price coming down, their revenues were going to be down. They don't really own much infrastructure other than maybe 15 megawatts that they own. Everything else is hosted with third parties, so they're paying more for it. It was one of those things where that's the reason why I couldn't get behind Kango and investing in it or recommending that anybody get into it, because it's so asset light. It just didn't make any sense there. But we'll see if they can turn things around as they get more into AI. They've also sold a lot of their Bitcoin, so that might have contributed also to why the stock has gone down there. Okay, on the 4 weeks time frame, things definitely do change there. We can see that Bitcoin at that point is up 7% from 4 weeks ago. Only companies that have kind of stayed with that has been Strategy. Bitdeer's only up 5% there. Everybody else has underperformed here. So we are seeing a shift here happening maybe in Bitcoin, a little bit of a longer time frame. We'll see if this can continue going forward here. Obviously last week we were down here, but we'll see. And then from the 8 weeks time frame, we can see Bitcoin's down 16, TeraWulf is up 13, Kango's down 66%, Bitdeer's down 38%. Those are some of the worst performers there. And then you got pretty much everybody else across the board being down 20, 25%, close to 30, or just down 12, 7%, somewhere around there on that one. And then 12 weeks ago, Bitcoin here is down 22%. TeraWulf is the only one that's up 19%. Kango's down 70% from 12 weeks ago. Bitdeer has kind of bounced back up a little bit. It's not down as much, but it's down 30% there. And pretty much everybody else has kind of outperformed here, except for maybe Hive being down lower than Bitcoin. But everybody else has done a little bit better, not going down as much as Bitcoin has here in the past. So that's kind of looking good there. Okay. All right. That is it. We are getting, hopefully we're getting close to the end of this situation with Iran. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows, other than maybe the Trump administration. Maybe they know where their targets are and what they're looking to get done and accomplished. But yeah, we're kind of at the mercy right now as it is. All right. As far as spreadsheets, as always, you guys know, link for that is down in the description. If you want to join the Patreon group there, you also get access to our wonderful Discord server group. A lot of great conversations happening there, people helping each other out as far as how they're investing, what they're investing in, options, all that stuff is in there. A lot of great, smart people in there. I learn from you guys as much as hopefully you guys learn from me as well. So really appreciate you all there. And let's get into the Q&A here. We'll call it a day at that point. And eventually, I would say probably I'm guessing the next 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks, basement should be done at that point, which I am going to be in hog heaven at that point because I've been busting my butt here trying to, well, I go to work 8 hours a day, come home, barely spend any time with the kids and family because I've been doing this right now. So I want to get back to spending time with them. And once that's all done, and then also have more time to do the research and things like this for this channel. So we're getting close. The goal was always to get it done before like springtime. And I think we'll hit that goal here with getting the basement done, which would be fantastic. Okay, let's get into Q&A here. I'm rambling on here. Let's see what we got going on as far as questions, comments. There's quite a bit here. So let's go through this here. Let's see. What do we got here? Talked about that one. Okay. Danny says, hey, Seb, I'm assuming you're talking about Bitcoin stock prices. Yes, no. Yeah, I think you're talking about the poll that we have running right now, right? Should I talk about the stock prices of these guys? Yes, it includes Bitcoin, miner stock prices, all that stuff. I think we'll kind of go over them quickly. We won't spend as much time as we have in the past. I think you guys obviously know what the stock prices are of these guys because you're probably following them anyway. So it's kind of like, why do that? And that was one of the comments that I got from the Patreon group there. What else we got here? Okay, Alexander. The economy is taking a knee to the groin with our glorious leader at the helm. Are we tired of winning yet? I think a lot of us are tired of winning. Yeah. John, let's see here. John says, hey, Seb, I have 30% cash position. Any upward momentum in the market is a sucker's rally. Stocks EPS will be halved since GDP is down from 3% to 0.7%. Inflation will skyrocket soon. Inflation will skyrocket because of oil prices. I do agree with you there. GDP, I don't know about the GDP. GDP could still be revised or something like that. We'll see where that one comes in at. Just as though I will continue to DCA for the long term, but carefully can't sell IREN. I agree with you. I can't sell. I can't. Yeah. There's no way I would sell IREN right now as it is. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right. John says also we need to talk about diversification for a balanced portfolio. I responded to him on that one in the comments. I think when you have millions of dollars, I think there is definitely a benefit to having diversification, right? Because you're trying to protect what you do have, right? So you don't want to be in things that are risky, which are volatile, which obviously the miners are, or Bitcoin, BTC, AI miners are very volatile. But in order for you to get to those millions of dollars, I think you have to take concentrated bets on certain companies in order to get outsized returns. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for you. This is just my take, not financial advice. It's going to be hard to get above that $1 million mark and then obviously beyond that. But once you do get several million, you definitely want to protect it at that point, right? So if you, but we won't get into it, but I think there is definitely a play for diversification as time progresses. Let's see, Rob says, hi Seb, hi to you. Nawarka, you sold everything? No, I didn't sell everything. Sold only Bitfarms here right now. Probably looking to sell a little bit of Cypher this week. No name channel. The room looks great, Seb. We need the bar area when we get the Cleanspark deal announcement. That's happening here. It's going to be a huge bar area. We're just going to do a little area where we have like cabinets, ice machine, a little drink fridge, and then we'll have a countertop on that. Maybe have some popcorn machine on top of it as well. And then we'll have like maybe a little, what I want to do is maybe like have a round table, like a small round table, and have like some nice comfy lounge seats have it in there. I think it'd be a cool experience in that, just to kind of take it easy. But not like I don't have enough room for a bar. I'd love to do like a straight up bar, but the way the room is done, laid out, it's harder to put a bar in here. I was wrecking my brain for a long time on how to do it, but there's just no way. Let's see, Dennis, hi Sebastian, hi to you as well. Roger says, why did we wait until everything was down so much to sell everything? Well, I wasn't originally planning on selling. Like I said, I regret having to sell right now as it is. I'm still in the positive on these things, so it's a little bit less painful if I was in the red, but I'm still in the green, so I need to pay for things. I got to do things. I haven't, like I said, I haven't taken any kind of cash out in the last 5 years, basically. So it's one of those things where I wish things were different, but they're not. And it's okay, right? We'll make this stuff up. We'll reinvest back in later on. We'll take the positive cash flow that I do have coming in. We'll reinvest it again, and we'll do this again. Okay. Dennis, how long do you think the Bitcoin bear market will last? I mean, geez, it's been lasting. I mean, some people are saying that we've never had a really positive, full-blown bull market in Bitcoin since 2021, right? 2022, obviously we came down quite a bit in price, and then we've come back up. But a lot of people are saying that this is not the same that we have seen in the past cycles where Bitcoin went parabolic. We never got to those levels here. So we've been kind of in a bear market. I don't know if that's the case. I think we had a pretty good rally. I don't think it was what people were expecting Bitcoin to do, getting up to only 124,000. I think people were expecting it to go much higher because of all the adoption and ETFs and everything else, but it didn't play out that way. So people were saying that this was kind of a muted rally, which it did seem like it because the RSI on the weekly never got really high. Yeah, I mean, it's just prior cycles would have been way above 70 for an extended period of time. We never got there. So it does seem a little bit more muted. Now, we've been coming down here in Bitcoin price since basically October, roughly, when we got to a high of 124,000. How much longer can it last? I mean, it could still last a couple more weeks, a couple more months. We don't know. Right now, it seems like Bitcoin's holding above 60,000, which might be the bottom there. I think it might be. But we need this. Okay, so here's a big thing. If the Iran conflict war ends shortly, within the next, I would say, a week or 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks, and we stave off from going below 60,000 on Bitcoin, I think that would be a good thing, and then we could possibly rally back up. But that's a big if. I mean, heck, it could happen tomorrow. Trump goes, yeah, we won, we're done, right? I don't know. And things go off crazy. Nobody knows. We can all speculate. We can all think what things are going to happen. We can see what other people are thinking as well. But in reality, we'll just have to wait and twiddle our thumbs until that time happens. But yeah, I just don't know. Mr. X here, let me guess. You sold out of Mara position. I sold Mara position a long time ago. I got into it. When did I get into it? 2024, 2025? I can't remember. It was a deal. Wasn't a bet. It was a deal. It was somebody else said they would buy, I think, IREN and Cleanspark if I bought Mara. I'm like, okay. So I bought Mara for like $1,000 or something like that, for like $1,400. I made like 2% on that, or I think, on the sale of that. Whereas the other person that I got into, IREN, did a lot better than I did. But yeah, I sold out. I think it was last year. Louis, hi from Luxembourg. Hi to you. Thanks for coming in. Sadie, thank you so much for this thumbs up there. DGHI sold. DCA, Fed hike oil, Fed printer on Bitcoin non-commodities, SEC April regulations, private equity crash, housing. Let's go. Okay. Roger, Bitcoin has seen 6 months down in a row in years. It has to be close. That's another good point there. Yeah. I mean, if March turns red for us, that would be the 6th month that we've been in red here. That hasn't happened, gosh, since when did this last time it happened? This was back in, let me see if I can pull this up. Last time we had 6 months in a row here was back in 2018. If we look at it here. So it was 2018, right, which is obviously a bear market for us. We were down in August, September, October, November, December, and then finally in January of 2019 was the last one. And then we had a nice 5 month rally in Bitcoin. Maybe it's playing out that way. Maybe this is going to be the bottom here once we get past March and get into April. Kind of similar to what we saw last year as well, with things a little bit with Bitcoin and everything else, stocks going way down into April, and then we rally after that. I would be okay with that. Okay, let's go back here. Joe says, hi, so for the next few months is not looking good. Interest rates increase may be coming accompanied with Bitcoin continuing to drop. I will continue dollar cost average, but looking good not looking good in the short term. Short term, yeah, obviously the volatility we're seeing here and everything else is not helping us out. I do want this to end. I do want some clarity in the markets. I want some peace, I guess you could say, geopolitically. That always helps the markets as well. Daryl continues to say here, Bitcoin follows the other 4-year cycles. It will start to rise in October, whereas this point looks like a good bet. If we're looking that it's going to start and rise in October, then obviously we could definitely go much lower than the 60,000 I think we bottomed out at. Looking at the RSI on the Bitcoin, right? When we look at that on the weekly, on the weekly chart, we can see that we pretty much bottomed out right around 60,000 here. Typically, that's when we bottomed out. So we'll see. Nobody knows, right? Mark says, Trump effed us all up. I am heavily read on this unnecessary military and financial wars, tariffs, never ends. It's tough. Yeah, when you're in the red, you're definitely not feeling it right now as it is. The only solace that I give you is maybe dollar cost average. And if you can, not financial advice as always, but dollar cost average. And if you can, if things are down that much where you're in red right now, this would probably be a good time to buy in. Historically, if you look back at the markets going back, 80, 100 years, whatever it's been, the best time to buy is usually when it's like the most painful time to buy back in, when you're really not feeling it and you really don't want to do it. But that's usually like the best time to do it, to get into it, because eventually within, it could be a couple of weeks, could be a couple of months, but things do bounce back at that point. Could we drop more? Yes, we could definitely drop more. But that's why having some cash on the sidelines and always buying in when things go down a little bit lower, especially in the things that you have conviction in. That's just the way I would look at it that way. Okay, Adam says, Seb, there is no nuclear threat. There might not be, right? We're being told that there is based on, I don't know where they're getting that threat from, right? That Iran was several months, several weeks, several years away from developing nuclear technologies that would obviously pose a lot of threat to the area there, plus Europe, I think, as well, and maybe to us also. SK says, Seb's favorite words are as it is, and as always. Yeah, you might be right there. As it is. All right. Simon Dixon views it as a great financial reset. Trump meets with Xi in April, then maybe off to the races. Okay, that would be great. Yeah. All right. Rob says, Iranians not smart. They're losing, and when Trump demanded that they open the Strait of Hormuz, they responded that they're cutting the underwater fiber optic internet lines in the Strait of Hormuz. That doesn't make any sense to me, obviously. Well, I mean, it's more control for them than anything in their country. Don't know. All right, Sarah says, just got here. What did you sell? Bitfarms, portion of it, didn't sell everything. I sold 90% there. Mark Seb, it's all about China. U.S. is losing proxies to fight Russia, Iran, Venezuela to stop flow of oil to China. It's a pattern, just follow the pattern. I've heard that too before, right? That it's to combat China's prowess, I guess you could say. Their advance in becoming a threat to the U.S. superpower. That could be part of it, I think, which would not be a bad thing, because we saw that with Venezuela, right? We're seeing it with Venezuela was pretty friendly with China. So was obviously Iran, Russia, same thing. It's like all of those kind of dictators are, it's their club. And Trump is kind of like, nope, not going to be that. But who knows? I mean, we'll see. Rob, he sold his Bitfarm stock. A mistake, if you ask me. I didn't sell everything. I'm still holding on to 1,000 shares there. And you might be right? If they come up with a deal next week or something like that, the move that I just did this past week is going to be pretty foolish at the time being. But sometimes life gives you curveballs and you try to make lemons out of it at that point. All right. Sauer says, Mara, Bitfarms, and ABTC are uninvestable in their current state. I would say ABTC for sure. Yes, ABTC is asset light, similar to what's going on with Kango there. Mara has infrastructure. Bitfarms has infrastructure. I think those two are a little bit different there. Sarah says the amount of capex Bitfarms needs is insane. Dilution and debt are going to rock the stock for a while, but that's with any company that's growing here. You're going to see the same thing there. It's just, can they execute? Can they get good deals? They do have great sites, right? So what do they actually have there? You got to look into it. Shono says he also sold Nike. I didn't own Nike. Let's see here. Give me a 251. What are your thoughts on Mara stock? Mara stock has been beaten down because of many number of reasons. One could be the operations have been terrible here in the last, I would say, year, probably a couple of years. On that one, stock-based compensation, management, basically grifting off the shareholders there has not been great. They were late to get into the AI party. They came out with news on about that, what was it, last week? Week and a half ago? Something like that. That they partnered with, I'm trying to blank on the company name right now, but they partnered with somebody that's going to help them build out at their data center or at their sites right now. They're going to help out build out AI data centers for them. Not too happy with the partnerships there. The partnership is going to be giving them less than 49% of the controlling interest, which, I mean, it could be even lower than that. So it's a joint venture. A lot of those things, I don't like those things. What else can I say about it? Their valuation for their HODL has not been anywhere near where people thought it was going to be. I think that was a mistake on their part. Buying Bitcoin when they were mining it, they were trying to become another MicroStrategy, because if you go back to, what was it, 2024, MicroStrategy was worth or valued at $500 some odd per share. I think they saw that. They also started buying Bitcoin at that point. I thought that was a mistake. If you're a miner, you should be buying Bitcoin. You shouldn't be buying it. But yeah, that's just kind of where I see things right now. Can things turn around for Mara? Yes, I think they can turn things around, but it might take a change in the leadership there, maybe a change in management there. They got to reduce their stock-based compensation. They got to, get their operations up and working for a longer time frame. That's just kind of my takes on it right now as it is. But I do think that they are way undervalued as it is. See, all right. Rob says Bitfarms is going keel. Come something in April, I believe. Yeah, they are changing their name there and also being redomiciled in the United States. Let's see, Dan says if you haven't played close attention, Mara and Cleanspark move together at the same pace. Either both will fail or both will succeed. It doesn't matter which Bitcoin stock you buy if you're betting on Bitcoin. If you're betting on Bitcoin, Bitcoin is going to go up, obviously. But yeah, the thing with Mara and Cleanspark is they were both late to the party of AI. Andrea, thank you so much for the likes there. Sour, what do you got here? By all means, I hope you do well. Those companies are just not investment material. Mara burns record amounts of cash. Bitfarms needs an absurd amount of cash. And ABC steals cash. True to a certain extent on those, yes. Surendra, how is Hive doing? Looks like it's expanding aggressively in AI. I wouldn't say aggressively. I would say it is expanding in AI. They're doubling or quadrupling their AI data center space that they have with their partner in Canada, which is great. They're also doing stuff in Paraguay, which is also good, but it's on a smaller, much smaller scale in comparison to what we're seeing here with TeraWolf, Nebius, Applied Digital, IREN. As far as, you're talking about megawatts there, a lot more. Whereas Hive is like 4, 8 megawatts, 16 megawatts tops, something like that. But it's still really good for them because it will still generate some revenue for them in the end. All right, sure. No, Seb, how do you cope with not selling IREN at 75 and Cypher at 25 or Bitfarms at 6.6? My portfolio was at 2 million in October and now at 950. Any words of encouragement to deal with the extreme stress? The only thing I can say to that is I was kind of in a similar situation with you there. The only way I cope is I still believe that these things will do much better going forward. Do I know exactly when that's going to be? No. We've obviously seen deals still happening for Nebius. We've seen deals for Applied Digital. We've seen deals with others. So I think those deals are still going to be coming through. Big thing is megawatts are in short supply. A lot of these guys, IREN, Cypher, TeraWolf, others as well, have those megawatts that are going to be available in a short period of time. So I think that is still going to be the catalyst that drives them forward. How long is it going to take? I don't know. But I see these prices where they are right now as a discount from where they probably should be valued at much higher prices. Right? I'm not the only one that's seeing this. We're seeing it from analysts. Analysts are saying that these guys should be valued much higher going forward. So that's the solace there, I guess, in order how to cope with it, is know what you own. Are you in it for a quick trade or are you in it for a longer term investment? A lot of times the longer term investments that you hold on to for a longer period of time play out much better than if you were just to try trading them, right? Look at if you're invested in Microsoft for a longer period of time, Google, Tesla, any of those things. If you invested in those things for over 5 years, 10 years or something like that, you would have been doing really, really well, right? Like 10,000 at one point could have been worth over $1 million or more in 10 years. So that's the way I think you need to look at it, is a longer time frame. Now, financial advice, you got to do what's right for you. But that's the way I'm looking at things right now, is these are going to be a longer term time frame, especially with their pivot to AI. Because AI is still, I would say, probably in like the second or third inning of the build out there as it is right now. Okay. Shona says, I started with 70,000 last April, a ton of margin, so I should be happy with 950, but the fact that I had 2 million didn't cash out haunts me. I think I'll sell IREN and the rest of my portfolio once it reaches $100. Okay, so congrats there on starting with 75 and getting to 900, well, almost 2 million there on leverage or options and things like that. That's fantastic work there. My hats off is to you there. My way of doing it was just dollar cost averaging and buying the stocks there, and getting a large amount of shares of these guys. So fantastic work there if you did that. But patience is a big thing. You got to be patient. All right, Roger, how come Iranians don't take back their country now when IRGC is weak now? Because the Iranians still don't have their own weapons to basically defend themselves in the event of the government they're shooting at them. And I mean they still have what did I see recently here? Some athlete was basically executed for protesting or something like that. I mean, that's never great. I mean, it boggles the mind, at least boggles my mind, that people let it get to that point originally, right? That they lost all their power, all of their freedoms and everything else. That is never a good thing. Yes, the government can obviously have more power than you, but man, everybody should be free. Everybody should be able to voice their opinions regardless of what the government is or what the government is for. You should have the freedom to voice your opinions without the fear of being, eliminated because of that. That's never a good thing. That should always be eliminated, right? Any kind of government that's like that should be eliminated, in my opinion. People should be free. People should be able to obviously, pick their religions, choose their religions, whatever their religions are. Be free of religion, be free of speech, be free of persecution, all those things. Kind of like the way the United States is. I think the United States is still, with all the flaws that the United States does have, I think it's still a beacon of hope for humanity as far as having freedoms and things like that. How much longer will those things last? I'm not sure. But I do hope that they last much, much, much longer for my kids, my grandkids, and everybody else here. So that's just my take on it. All right, Franco. Seb, Trump can claim that he won, but Iran can disagree and keep the channel shut. This will go on much longer, unfortunately. That could be the case, yeah. I mean, nobody's saying that. Bethany says, Taco coming tomorrow. No way Trump will bomb Iran. Okay, geez, we'll see. I can't pronounce that. Doluo? What is the target to sell IREN and Cleanspark? IREN, I'm looking at above $140 for that one. Cleanspark, I'm thinking if they get a deal or something like that, we're looking possibly around $40, $50 eventually to that one, depending on the deal that it gets. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got here. I still think all AI stocks will at least double by end of year. Okay, kind of the same way. I think double is an easy get for these guys. Sorry, so people need to quit saying we should have sold at the top. That's easy to say in hindsight. I agree with you there. That's easy to say in hindsight. But again, it's one of those things where you have to have a longer term mentality. with these things. You can't be just, in and out, in and out. I think that, it's really, really hard to do that. Based on historical data, I think only, 10% of day traders or even less than that are actually in profit over a long period of time. So that's really hard to do. The thing that we have seen historically is to dollar cost average in, buy over a longer period of time, invest in things that, are going to have a good future. And I think that's the best way to build wealth. But that's just me. Could be wrong though. Let's see. Benny says, Trump just tweeted peace through strength, to put it mildly. Okay. We'll see what happens there tomorrow. What else we got here? We got one more coming in from Shono. It looks like somebody else, and we'll call it a day. We're going on almost an hour as it is. Shono says, what's your price target for new AI once they sign Microsoft to their 1 gigawatt TCDC site? Don't know. I haven't done any major due diligence on UAI, so I really don't know where they probably will be valued at that point. But if they sign a 1 gigawatt site, that would be massive for them. If that's the case, and that's if they have I have to look into it. I can't speculate there. Let me see, Mark. I can't believe you people 3x, 5x your portfolio. I was hoping for 1x and I failed. It's one of those things where you have to learn through your own pain, unfortunately. A lot of times investors will learn this in the long run, right? That you will round trip something. And if you believe in something, I think this is the important part, is to dollar cost average in. Again, not financial advice for you guys. This is what has worked for me. Maybe it hasn't worked for others, but it has worked for me. Dollar cost average in on the things that you believe in and hold them for a little bit longer time frame than you would probably think so. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I was down on these guys probably 4 times, where I was nicely in the green, then in the red, in the green, then in the red, and 4 times or something like that in the last 4 years or something. So you have to have a thick skin. You got to know what you own and have conviction in the things. But patience. Eventually, I think you will be in the green here. You just got to have patience. Shono says, Mark, when you just need to max and go all in on poop. That's what we did go from. Sometimes you got to go in on things. Yeah, you got to have, I wouldn't say leverage. I don't like leverage, but you definitely can go in on some things more directed, right? So instead of going with like the S&P 500, which you could have invested in, you go in on like very niche things like we have done here with the miners and getting into AI. That has yielded tremendous returns for a lot of these, for myself, for others as well. But yeah, patience. Shono says, agreed by others on X think new AI will 10X the same week if they sign a Microsoft deal. I know that they are pretty bullish on it. I just don't know. I'll have to look into it some more there. Okay, I think we're all caught up here. All right, we're going to call it a day here. Like I said, I'm tired. Been busting my butt here over the weekend just trying to get this basement done. We'll talk about whatever happens tomorrow at that point. But I greatly appreciate you all for coming in on this late of a night here on Sunday night, especially. I wouldn't bet on anything massive happening tomorrow. I think the markets will be red overall, unless things really, really change, unless Trump tweets something that, we're done or something. Who knows at that point. All right. Sadie, you're very welcome as always. Give me a 251. Thank you for the perspective. I'm grateful. You're very welcome. I'm grateful for you guys coming in here. Love you all. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. I think we are hopefully getting close to the end of this shenanigans, and eventually we'll have, greener skies. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye.